Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we have entered day 171 of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. And today we're going to start off in the eastern area of the conflict, as this is where some of the most heaviest fighting continues to take place. Specifically in the area of Bakhmut. As we had discussed earlier yesterday, we have seen Russian forces now penetrate Ukrainian forward lines around the city of Bakhmut. And now we have heard reports that Russian Special Operations Forces, Spetsnaz forces, are now entering the outskirts of Bakhmut and are engaging Ukrainian light infantry inside of the city of Bakhmut as we speak. Furthermore, to the northeast of Bakhmut, further Ukrainian defensive lines have been penetrated by the armed forces of Russia. We have seen again Russian special forces units of the Wagner organization, which again is more or less a offshoot of the Russian SVR or foreign affairs apparatus that Russia operates. And again, these forces continue to engage Ukrainian forces. And again, we do know now that at least at 2 points along the defensive line that runs from Seversk down south of Bakhmut have been penetrated by Russian forces. And now we have seen, as we just talked about, Russian forces are now inside of Bakhmut and Soledar, respectively. Further to the south, we continue to see a pressure campaign to the west and southwest of Horlovivka to include areas near Avdiivka as well. We know there's a very strong Ukrainian defensive presence in that town and or small city. And then at the same time, Russian forces are continuing to move in that direction to get behind Avdiivka, but also to pressure up along this main arterial route and get behind Bakhmut and press towards Kramatorsk and other cities to the north as well. But again, that fighting continues, and we'll have to keep an eye on that very, very closely in the hours and days to come. In other areas, we continue to see a very heavy shelling taking place, running from Zaporizhzhia, obviously the main power plant here, the nuclear power plant, one of the largest nuclear facilities in the world, and then obviously one of the largest nuclear power plants in Europe or Western Europe as well. And again, we continue to receive reports that Ukrainian artillery shells are impacting near the nuclear power facility. Is it to the point where is it threatening the nuclear facility? Not at this point, but it does appear the Ukrainian forces are trying to target Russian assets that are located in and around the Indahar nuclear power facility. And then obviously, as we continue to move to the southwest, we continue to see fighting. Mainly now we are seeing multiple launch rocket attacks back and forth between the two sides, and the use of heavy artillery and tactical air assets as well on the part of Russian forces. Again, this area was a key location for that air base that was attacked by Ukrainian forces in the Crimean Peninsula, and we'll kind of zoom in on that air base again. Obviously, it looks a lot different now than it does when this photograph was the satellite photograph was taken, as a lot of these aircraft have since been destroyed. And I wanted to touch on this just real quick, and we have been discussing what system did the Ukrainians use to attack this facility. I think we can pretty much eliminate the whole concept of some sort of sabotage attempt or some sort of Ukrainian special operations force on the ground. I just don't see that as happening. If you go by Occam's razor, and the most reasonable explanation would seem to be, at least on the surface, would be a Tochka semi-ballistic, short-range ballistic missile. The Ukrainians have been using those since the onset of the war, and we have steadily been seeing the improvement of the accuracy of those missile systems. Now, we could also be seeing a hybrid of the Tochka combined with some of the GPS receiver applications that are on some of the other systems that the Ukrainians are producing, or have attempted to produce, in terms of the Grom or Thunder ballistic missile system. That is more or less a much more advanced and upgraded version of the Tochka, a little bit smaller, but very, very accurate system that was never put into actual production. So again, the probability is that Ukrainians are taking these Tochka U's and they are further upgrading these systems to be much more accurate in regards to their ability to hit targets in Russia. Now, if it was a Tochka and it was a ballistic or semi-ballistic short-range missile that was used, that's really going to call into question the capability of Russia's air defense network to shoot down some of these ballistic missiles. So far in this campaign, we have seen strikes take place in other areas, such as the port of Berdyansk. We believe that Tochka U's were used to strike this facility and some of the ships that were docked here, among other strikes in the ongoing conflict as well. So again, it would mean that for whatever reason, Russia is having some fairly significant difficulty in interdicting these ballistic missiles. Now, look, they travel very fast. They come out of the stratosphere at Mach 5, and they are not an easy target to shoot down, especially if the Ukrainians have managed to make them maneuverable in some fashion outside of the scope of a traditional ballistic type of profile. But we just don't know that as yet. The next option, probably the next more likely option, would be the use of an ATACMS on the HIMAR weapon systems that have been provided to Ukrainian forces by the United States and other NATO allies. And again, that also would seem to be fairly probable, and at the same time, it does appear that the Russians are continuing to have issues in interdicting some of those systems, especially in terms of the ability to shoot them down. And in the case of the attack in Crimea, it looks like, and again, that makes us ask this question: was it one of those systems then? If the Russians were not even engaging the whatever ballistic missile it was it a Tochka U or was it an ATACMS? And then why hadn't the Russian air defense network at least identify these inbound systems, these missiles, and then attempted to engage them? We don't know for certain that they didn't try, but from anecdotal reports on the ground, it would suggest that the Russians did not see whatever was coming inbound towards that airbase. But again, eventually we'll know more, and right now the Ukrainians are keeping things very tight to their vest at this point. But that pretty much does it for today's update. We will continue to monitor, report. We're watching again very closely the fighting that is taking place now inside of the city of Bakhmut, Soledar to the northeast, and the continued Russian movement of forces in the direction of Bakhmut, Kramatorsk, and Sloviansk, and the continued fighting east of Seversk as well. We believe, just one more follow-up, this map I don't believe has been updated here. We think Russian forces are a little bit closer to Seversk than this map would indicate. And again, as you can see here, in all probability, Russian forces have actually entered Bakhmut, probably a little bit further than this map would indicate as well from the reports that we are receiving on the ground. Now, is it possible that we could see some sort of Ukrainian counter operation to attempt to push Russian forces back out of Bakhmut? It is possible, but again, we will only know that as future developments take place. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and have a good day.